It's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host.
And we're live, everybody.
All right. Welcome to the second episode of Completely Cartoony. I am your host, Ben. Unfortunately, Leo is unable to join me this evening. He sends his best, all of his well wishes, and here at the show, we wish him the best too. He's been out traveling the world, gallivanting around the whole nine. But tonight, I'm joined by a couple of new faces here on Completely Cartoony.
Oh.
People you may not be familiar with. One guy who called a chat one time very angry. We're not going to hold that against him.
Still a little angry.
Well, you can live that life. It's fine to be bitter. I don't know. James, where might the people know you from? I mean, it's I heard that you host a cartoon podcast or
Well, I
something
host
somewhere.
the real cartoon podcast called Totally Tunular.
I've never heard of it. It sounds wonderful though. I like the alliteration. I like the way the alliteration goes in it. It seems like you're kind of trying to rip off my.
It's almost like it's like someone ripped me off, maybe. Huh?
But James, what's up in New York, bud?
I mean, everything's chill now. I mean, you guys all know my aunt. I mean, Liz, you weren't here last week, but everybody knows my antics of all last week. Went out to New Orleans, so this week, taking it a lot calmer and chiller, and not spent the week straight drinking. So it's been nice.
Very good. That's always a bonus. You know what I mean, dude? You cannot always stay drunk.
No,
you know?
definitely cannot.
Right.
It reminds me
But
of
if
this
you think-
Ron White quote where he talks about, he was like, there's only so much drinking you have in a life. And he's like, I did mine, all of it, in my 30s.
and you're like, you know what? Maybe I did too.
Yeah.
James was like, "Maybe
I did it all in
did
a
too."
week.
But no, since you've been back to the city, what are you doing? Are you nice and chilled out?
Hell yeah.
Are you back to work? Back to regular life?
I
What's
work
going on?
next week, which is fun fact. I got the sound gig next week, and it turns out how I got the sound gig was because the sound guy that I am replacing is working on Terrifier 3. He's like their sound guy, so I'm replacing on this documentary the sound guy who's working on Terrifier 3 right now,
What?
which is pretty funny.
That's pretty rad. Like that's pretty rad. And if you're in good with him, maybe you can get in on part 4, right?
And I'm part 4. Hell yeah, I'd do it.
Because you know it's coming up.
Yeah, I mean,
You know there's gonna be a 4th one.
I just hope, yeah, with the hopefully the 4th one's not going to be like 5 hours long, you know, like the second one.
Look, I'm just gonna say it, and maybe I'm wrong. Liz, I know you're well steeped in horror and in that world. I'm gonna go out on a ledge here and say with the second one, they lost me at the end.
Yeah.
They lost me at the end.
You know,
Wow.
spoilers, you know, when she becomes like Xena Warrior Princess, I was like, where are we going in this movie? What's happening?
Yeah.
Where are we going in any of the either Terrifier or the All Hallows Eve? Like it, I do better with this first. Like I do better with the little compilation anthology. Also, the kids are harmed. I'm just gonna spoil it. I don't do well with torture porn or just super gratuitous. I'm a horror hound, and I don't do good with the super gratuitous misogynistic craziness when there's no point,
Yeah.
you know. And if this had a point, I might do better, but it was just everything is just ripping up women for the sake of ripping up women, and I don't like it at all. I wish
Yeah, and the
that
second
they
one
would
didn't.
stop that and maybe try something different.
Yeah, and the second one didn't change that at all.
No thanks. Oh, I know. I didn't even have to watch it to know exactly what happens in that, and in the absurdity of the ending and where it goes with the girl. But still, and like he has a little mini me.
I lived in such a world of like, you know, it's an okay film. It's good for what it is in comparison to a lot of what's out there. But in that third act, when it gets into this weird magic fantasy realm that seems and feels like it's ripped right out of 1989, I like, had I not invested the time I had already invested in it, I would have turned it off. Like
Yeah.
if this movie was 79 minutes, like, and that was gonna give me
Yeah, not
my
2.5 hours long.
Right, bro. If it was 79 minutes and we get to that final act and it starts doing what it's doing, I would have turned it off. An hour wasted.
Yeah.
Now I'm 2 hours deep in my life. You know what I mean? And it's like I
Right.
have to watch this dumb ending.
But I
was
will
very
say
upset.
about Terrifier, at least I know, you know, it's still an independent movie, which like it's like the only
True.
real like, you know, independent movie that has kind of blown up and gotten to like a mainstream success and still gets to be because they still have a pretty low budget, even for the third one, considerably low budget. You know, not like our low budget, but like, you know, movies low budget. Like,
I was about to say, if they're hiring your friends, it's got to be a low budget
yeah,
feature.
but that's sick though. But like to have a low budget feature go out to AMC's and theaters that's what I love, and that's why we'll champion Terrifier. But as a movie, they can cut that
I
shit
can
down by an
appreciate
hour.
that.
Yeah.
Speaking of appreciation, Liz, we appreciate having you back.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
How has your week been, Liz? What's going on in your world?
I am having a lot of back and forth to the hospital days. We're having some family hospitalization good times. My mother is in the hospital, so it's been a whirlwind. Thank God for my good friend and our sponsor, Big Dan,
Big Dan.
because he showed up with just food for days. And just, no, like he would not let me turn that down. He just macaroni and cheese, jambalaya, barbecue, obviously, enough to feed me, Brandon, and 5 kids for days.
Yeah, and
So-
that says a lot. Like, look, we can talk about like sponsor, whatever, all of that stuff, and he supported our show. He's great. I've known this guy literally my entire life, like 30 plus years, whatever. Wonderful human.
You've known him
Comes
as much as
through-
I've been alive.
As long as
Oh.
you've been alive, I've known Dan.
You're a baby, James.
You're he's something, all right. Let me tell you. Like, I ain't gonna blow up his spot, but I got some weird Snapchats from James during Mardi Gras.
Hey, what happens in Mardi Gras stays in.
Stays there. I got you, brother. I'm just I was gonna say. I got
Did you hear
some
this
weird
voicemail I
stuff.
left on Chili Beans' phone?
But no, Dan cares about people, and it comes through. And if he takes a liking to you, it's you know what I mean. You not only do you have a friend for life, but you've got a person there who's genuinely gonna look out. And he doesn't like to see his friends go without. He doesn't like to see people, needlessly work themselves to the bone. And if he can come out in any way, shape, or form to help out, he does.
You know how
We
they
take
say,
our asses.
you know how they
Yeah.
say like people wear their hearts on their sleeve. Big Dan wears
Yeah.
his heart on the meats.
Yeah.
He does. He does. That man knew, like he's been through the motions. He knew that I would not have time to come home, cook for these kids every night. Like he knew it, and he was just like, you know what? You don't have to for a few days.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's amazing. And it frees you up a little bit. I mean, pack and grab and go. You know what I mean? Pack, grab and go. I'm sure Brandon and the kids are good to go and capable to take care of themselves for a little bit. But you need to go where you need to go. You need to be where you need to be. And anything that can kind of support that is tremendous.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So shout out to our sponsor, Big Dan.
Yeah, Big Dan. The Big Dan live chat blowing up right now too.
Exploding with activity. Also, Liz, I don't know if you want to talk about it too much, but you mentioned you're going a little somewhere this weekend.
I
And
am.
what are you doing this weekend? When this airs, you will be where?
When this airs, I will be chatting it up with Dr. Gangrene, Nashville's horror host and horror host for the past, almost 20 years? Like, Doc's been going for a while. So this is Sanitarium, and it is on NECAT, and it is Nashville channel, and also broadcast on the Roku app as well. So I will be on Sanitarium this weekend. Please check me out. It'll be a blast. I've known Larry for a really long time. He's a good dude. You met Larry
Oh, I did.
at
I
Where
did.
Dealer.
I met the doc. I was in his DMs the other day. He sent me some footage from the thing.
Yeah.
I have to push one more little thing. If you are listening to this and it is Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and you are in the Nashville area, look up Dr. Gangrene and look up the Kneecat Studio. There is a live studio audience that night, and it is free out at the Kneecat
is.
Studios.
And
So
it's
if-
right off of White Bridge Road. I mean, it's really accessible. Get on Charlotte, take it on out there. Get on West End, take it on out there. You can go Briley West, come in. I mean, it is very easy to get out there.
It is not hard at all. And
Uh-uh.
I would join, but I'm at the Haunt that weekend. I'm at
Oh,
the Haunt this
man.
weekend. Yeah. We kick back up for a little thing they're doing. It's a vampire weekend called Love Bites. Love
Aw.
Bites. Yeah. It's all
That's sweet.
so Nashville this weekend is getting a little froggy, man. Like we got some spooky ookies going on. We got Dr. Gangrene. We got some Nashville Nightmare. Basically, we're dipping into Nashville's becoming its own little wicked city this week.
I love it.
Yeah.
Screw romance. We don't
You know
need
what I'm saying?
that. We need horror.
Yeah, when you're saying like
It-
Love Bites, I was like, that reminds us of what we're watching.
Yeah, truly. Wicked city. Nashville is its own wicked city this weekend.
If only we had demon ladies. Well, we kind of do. Me.
Yeah,
I
aren't you a little
mean-
bit of a demon lady?
Just a
Look,
little bit. I
all I'm-
don't have the vagina for it. I do have the nails and the hair, so that works.
I was literally like, I was trying to figure out a polite way to ask about Brandon's kinks and then how this sort of works into it. But you just
No
blew
tooth
that-
vagina.
you-
Yeah.
Man, 50
Blew that
minutes in, we're
away.
talking about Brandon's kinks and teeth vaginas.
so okay, and Liz, this was your pick, and I do know that you are gonna have to breeze out a little early, so I want to get you into this. What in this horny, fucked up movie resonates with you so much that you're like, boys, you let me pick a thing. This is what we're talking about.
So I just can't do romance in a typical sense. I can't do romantic
Yeah.
films. I can't do romantic comedy, especially.
Same.
But I can do weird romance, and I can do like rom-zoms, like Cemetery Man, things like that. But this is one that I had no idea was going to be this extravagantly horny. And I saw it when I was in college, and it blew me away. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? Because there's a lot of doing it, and there's a lot of boobies.
A lot.
And it's, I mean, there's so much going on. And if you dig further into the novel series, it's absolutely wonderful. Granted, the novel, the first in that series, is what this movie is based on.
Mhm.
It's a little more rough.
The
It's
novel's
not-
more rough.
it's harsh. You know, it's not as easy. Pun intended. It's not as easy to swallow as this anime is. So I appreciate that you know, it's kind of taken it. There's still that it kind of borders on almost too gratuitous, but it's
But the
It's not.
second you dip into like those graphic novels, so what you're saying is like, this is like tip of iceberg as to the depths of the depravity that it can get to.
yes, very much so. And it's the majority of the violence is against the female characters.
Oh,
So that's when I can check out of a lot of things, but I don't with this.
I'm like, you don't say. This is, and you and Nicole famously were not fans of Boogie because of that. And then
Hey, I
you're like,
also
Wicked City
was
and
not a fan of
people are
Boogie.
just-
Boogie is more of it's done in just such a sour way. Boogie was
Right.
done in such a mean-spirited way.
Right.
Where there was no resolve, no fantastical anything. It was just cut and
And
dry, beating the shit out of women,
and
basically.
no real essential sort of like story pickups to anything. There's no
Right.
yeah.
There's no black world. There's no blackguard. There's no, demons infiltrating our reality. It was just some really terrible dude that treated women very terribly, and it
So
was somehow cool.
so like okay, and my my familiarity with this is I used to run a video store, right? In Hartsville. There was a kid that would come in.
In
He
Hartsville, what
yeah.
video store?
It was right there on the main drag. It was community video. Um,
Oh,
literally across from the Wilson County Bank. Yeah.
Damn,
Like
I want to
right
see the
there
Ben
on-
Johnson clerks. You working in a video store?
Oh,
so do
dude.
you remember the video place in Madison
Yeah.
Square? Okay, so I worked. That was my first job.
I love it.
So we are twins, Ben Johnson. We are work
Listen.
twins.
I ran it. My dad's whole thing was he was doing like check cashing and stuff, and he was like, well, the check cashing alone's not going to be the thing to do this. What else would you want me to put in there? And I was like, well, if you want me to work at a video store, and sure as all get out, man, we started buying movies and like selling, renting, whatever. But there was a kid that would come in, and he was a big anime guy. I never was. I'd seen a few when I was in college, a couple of them, like your Princess Mononoke's and a couple other things. I had a roommate who was real big into it. I remember a thing with a guy on a throne of ladies, and then everybody, like the throne is like getting fucked by this giant penis tentacled monster. I don't remember what that was, the name of it, but I was like, well, this must be all anime. And at first I was like, this is confusing and I don't understand it, but this one's cool. The rest of them suck. I don't understand this. So I tuned it out for the longest amount of time. So this dude shows up and he starts talking. He's like, oh, you got to watch this. You got to watch that. And then he starts bringing me tapes and DVDs. And this is one that I remember because in the other ones that I watched, it was like 90s to early 2000s. And then this, I was like, oh, well, this is the prototype for all of this weird, horny stuff that came afterwards, right? Like
Well, this was like the peak of horny Japanese 80s cyberpunk Blade Runner type anime.
I mean, and boy, howdy
Yeah.
is it. But did this lay like the groundwork for like hentai? Is that where this like was that the next logical sort of step up, or did
Like
that
I
exist
would
before?
I would like to think so, but to my knowledge, like this was 87 and I believe hentai has been around. Like it was like it was in written form
Right.
prior to this. So I do know that nothing like this had ever been put to animation prior.
Because let me tell you, like, okay. And James, you said you were not familiar with this at
No,
all.
and I mean I watched a lot of anime, but I guess somehow
Jake.
I've gone past this thing. But I guess I didn't watch a lot of horny animes growing up. Mine was more like the Naruto's, the Dragon Ball Z's, and the Pokemons and the Digimons kind of stuff.
So this movie basically opens up with a guy picking up a girl in a bar. He's been seeing her for a while at the bar. He's getting ready to take her home. They go home, and then the next thing you know, it's like from Jump Street. Like she's getting she's stripping down in the room, and then she comes over to him, and it's like when she hits her knees, it's like, I've seen a cartoon titty more than a couple of times. Like I'll just be honest with you.
Definitely more than once.
But like when she hits her knees, and the one thing I will say about this that I found to be, it makes it sexier, but it also makes it like kind of skeezier and a little bit dirtier, is how well they hide it and how on the cusp of seeing everything you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah, like on
does
the
that
edge
make
of
sense?
like becoming like that full porno. Like right there.
On the corner of pornography, right? It's like it's staring down the barrel of porn, and
So
it's
I had seen boobs. I'm a Nagai fan, obviously, because of Glenn Danzig. So Glenn Danzig is the reason, by the way, I got into anime because of his Devilman shit. And I was like, what the hell is that? And I dig deeper into that, into Cutie Honey and Violence Jack, all of that. And there's boobs. There's boobs, lots of boobs and butts. Some,
All of it.
but there's not this. Nobody's actually there's fucking, but there's not this.
there's not
So this was
fucking.
the
Yeah.
first time I was ever like, whoa.
You can do that in a cartoon, bro?
Because it goes on.
Wait.
I mean, even the first the beginning of this movie, the first sex scene, I mean that goes on. Like she doesn't transform until like literally till he climaxes and they continue like it's like a full fucking session you're watching.
But dude, when she hits her knees and it's like, I was like, and now mind you, it's been like 20 some odd years since I've seen it. I watched it like once, maybe twice, because this opening is the thing that sticks with you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it is that transformation into the demon Spider Woman who's been on this low key 3 months. She's been undercover trying to
Yeah.
get Jism.
Just trying to meet him to get his splooge. And she did.
Oh,
She
she
succeeded.
Oh, she did.
she did succeed. Yes, Liz.
Succeed.
she did
There's going to
succeed.
be so many bad puns.
But so she gets what she's looking for, narrowly escapes death. She mutates into this weird spider thing with a toothy vagina, and then goes like crawling out the window and down the fucking ledge and out into the world. And he's just like, what the hell?
He's like, well, I still got my nuts. I guess it's fine.
Right. Like I still got everything I have to have. And so that's like the cold open. That's how this movie jumps you off to a point to where
That's
you
how
have
it gets you
no-
off.
But it gets you off. Listen, you know what? It took me like 4 times to get through that opening sequence. Like it was the longest. Like that's the longest 5 minutes of my life. I literally had to, I would stop, fall asleep a little bit. You know how it goes, right? I have to clean up my little mess, throw a tissue away, and then restart again. It was a very long 5 minutes.
So did you get past the opening bit?
Well, I mean, listen, I could, but one time I got very, very tired. It's like just very sleepy all of a sudden. I don't know. No, but you get past that, through that. You have what is it? You have put yourself in the situation where this is what we're watching now. Okay.
It's like we're in for it. And then when it goes into the opening and it pans over the city, that artwork
Oh,
blows
it's
me
incredible.
away every time.
And what makes it amazing, especially with these old animes, it's just like there are no computers,
No.
And it's just like to do any of these pan shots or these wide shots. I mean, you literally have to draw this fucking shit out in detail on huge paper and fucking film it. It's crazy to me.
So that's the thing that I really dig too. I guess sort of about this level of anime, right? Not just the artistry, but it's like it's CinemaScope. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it on this show, your new favorite cartoon show, Completely Cartoony. We don't air enough, but we talked about it on this show with Akira. It's some of the things that are in the details that aren't. It's what they can do with sort of negative space. And I hear that on your show as well, and things like, I guess you guys at one point talked about Batman the Animated
Yeah.
Series.
Yeah, that was our first
Yeah.
episode, actually.
Ah, you really?
Yeah.
What, you jumped off the rails pretty deep on the first one. Look at you guys. I mean, listen, I wish you the best of luck on that other show. I'm sure it's pretty good. But anyway, anyway, and in a thing like Batman the Animated Series, though, a lot of times it's what you do with that negative space in the spaces where nothing is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And there's so much of that throughout, like good anime, bad anime, but this movie throughout makes some really wonderful choices as far as what they're doing with nothing or minimal stuff
Yeah.
in the background.
The hours. I can't even imagine how long it would take to make that shot. Just that one shot. Like months, probably.
I mean, truly. But then you also have those shots that are, God, it's when, I'm terrible with names. Is it Mickey?
Mackie?
Maki.
There you go. It's when she's exploding, like, no spoilers, but later on she gets some kind of like worm thing in her, like a weird little worm thing, and then she kind of blows up. But then it fucks her, and then it like fucks her in the mouth with its like tentacle head or whatever. But when it's just this sort of like, it's mostly a silhouette, but then you can still see her body, and then just like blacks and reds of the monster, and then just this like washed out red background to it. You know what I'm talking about? Right before the like lightning bolt
Yeah,
hits.
yeah.
Blew me away, dude. I was like, that's fucking unreal.
Well, that's something
There's a
I've learned recently. I mean, it's kind of obvious when you watch it, but something I've learned recently what anime does is the idea of like lack of frames to like basically to save money, but to have more artistic like ways to show something. So like a lot of times when there's action scenes, the characters aren't moving at all, and it just comes down to like cutting the backgrounds out, making them more aesthetic. Like, or if someone's running, right, you do the action lines or just blurred backgrounds, and they're just frozen there, and it's like right in the middle of the action that you see it, which is like a super smart way to not have to draw every frame, also, but makes it look cooler and more intense.
And in those moments where we're getting those sort of big monstery things, like, okay, and we'll get to the why here in a minute. but and it is the thing where the monster head is going inside of her mouth while she's engulfed in this thing.
Yeah.
Mackie gets like, you talk about violence against women, Liz. Like this movie hates Mackie.
Yeah.
But is she?
Oh, and it's worse in the novel.
But is she actually
worse?
But is she actually a female if she's like a demon?
She's a demon.
Right. Yeah.
But, you know, perceptively, you're seeing this as a human
True.
woman, you know?
So when this thing, and again, I thought this was, like, it's graphic as fuck, but I thought it was, like, a really well done thing. And the way my mind works was like, well, this whole time they want to show you somebody sucking a dick. This is the closest they can get to it. You see the monster, like, head go into her mouth, right? And then there are these shots from what I assume are inside of her as the thing is just like thrusting down.
Like it's trying
And
to push
then-
itself down and it can't, so it's just going like.
And then you cut back to her on the outside. So you're seeing the head inside of her trying to go deeper and deeper. Then you cut back to the outside and it's just this like fucking cock thick fucking thing just and she's all just like and these are the noises in my head. Also, the squishiest fucking sex scenes in this thing, right? Not gonna lie. And we haven't even touched on the character I wish to play when we do our American live action, totally tunular remake of this.
I mean, completely
Uh,
cartoony remake.
No, totally tunular. I want nothing. Our show will not be involved in that. Completely cartoony. We'll have to do it through yours because it's going to be filthy. But Mr. Mayor,
Filthy.
it's Mayor.
Oh,
right?
Giuseppe?
Mayor.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Giuseppe.
little
Little
guy,
feller.
That's a little feller.
little horny old man.
That's
Yeah.
that is a part I feel made for me once I hit a certain
Stop
age.
When
it.
he's in the car,
do.
just like with Maggie, she's in the back seat. Like I feel so bad for her, just hanging out with this old man. Just like he just keeps like literally keeps showing every time he talks. It just shows him like trying to like patting her knee until he's like touching her knee, and then he tries to like cuddle up next to her in the car.
So okay, so yeah. We will get to all of this. This is my favorite part of this because I just want to jump around, but like there is real story here, and it ends up being a very beautiful story. We get back to Taki, and he's at the it is Taki,
Taki,
Or-
like the
yeah.
chips.
Yeah,
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. So he's undercover as like an electrician or an electric specialist or some shit during the day, but his real job is working for the Blackguard, who is like humanity's saviors,
they're kind of like the Men in Black, right? But for like demons.
but for demons. And what are they called? The
Radicals.
radicals. There you go.
Uh-huh.
So demons are radicals, good guys are Blackguard. All right.
And then there's a
So
peace
the
treaty,
bad demons. The bad
Bad
demons are
right?
the
Because
radicals.
there's a peace
'Cause
treaty.
they're wanting to break this peace treaty.
And then there's the new radicals who shot a music video in a mall.
And one of the best songs that's ever existed that gets trashed. Have you ever really like sat down and got the composition of that song, like broken it down just track by track? Because I have, and it is unreal.
I sing that
And
song
that was the girl from All in the Family.
constantly. I sing that song constantly.
Badass song.
Isn't it though? Isn't it from start to finish? But it gets trashed crazy. But you can ask Jen anytime that thing comes on. Like I'm fucking. It's
I'm
2002.
up at me too.
Screaming
grabbing
out a
some
window at
Jinkos.
everybody.
Yeah, me too.
but so now they've got this peace treaty coming up to be signed. There's a rift, and the radicals are getting through more and more frequently, but they're not supposed to because there's a treaty. Oh well, there's sort of a break there. So they send Taki off. They send Taki off to go and
I like tacky.
Tacky.
I mean, this movie is kind of tacky-less.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. Man, when we get to those big capital R scenes, it's a little rough. But and that's it coming from a guy who loves "I Spit on Your Grave," and I think this is rough.
No.
Anyway, so he's out at this airfield, right? He's out at this airfield, and then there's like we get introduced to Mackie at Tacky and Mackie. We get introduced to her.
Well, I want to talk about that. Yeah, that initial fight scene is probably also one of my favorite pieces of animation in this, because they do all those like to those pauses I'll talk about earlier, where he's like fighting these like two kind of tentacle man dudes. But they do shit too of like there's like pull focus shots off the gun. There's like explosions. I mean, it's just like the animation just in that one sequence alone is just amazing. It probably took also another fucking months to just do that.
Well, I did see that this is a solo directorial effort, which I took to mean this guy never made anything else. This
Oh.
was his story to make. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
And there
yeah,
is Demon City based on the second book also, that if you ever have an opportunity to check out, is wonderful as well.
Yeah, it's twice as horny. It's
Twice as
part,
horny.
part two.
Twice as
that's
horny.
that's the
Was
tagline.
the first time.
Oh my god. Um. Anyway, Liz, I don't even know what to do with it. Guys, this has been a wonderful episode of Completely Cartoony. Thank you for joining us.
Wow,
No,
39 minutes, so fast.
They always say go out on the laugh. You know what I mean? This one's done. That was. If we're getting Blackguard versions of Black Crow songs, it's
Throw
over.
everything else in the trash. It's over.
Done. So so we get introduced to his partner in crime, or in not so much crime, Mackie. She's undercover as a model, and I thought this was really interesting. She's like, I don't have a sponsor, so the other girls don't really fuck with me. Also a great way to stay undercover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, I'm a supermodel, and he's like, hey, you got to look for it. Tacky's smooth though. Like, that motherfucker's smooth.
I love her nail.
Can we just talk about her aesthetics? Yeah, James.
Her
Like,
nails, man.
This is anime meets Patrick Nagel.
Mm-hmm. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Again, I've seen cartoon titty before, but this was primo.
Well, I love her like laser nails or whatever the fuck those things are that just like come out like Wolverine claws and just like fucking like slice motherfuckers.
If only.
Ugh. Liz, if you could make that happen, it's over.
And actually, there was a shot in that scene. I don't want to spoil it because no one's seen it yet. But there's a shot in that scene that I actually wanted to do for Portrait of Payback that I never did. But like when the head like falls to the ground and you see like his eye move for a second and then it's like frozen there. I was really trying to pull off that shot and I never got it.
They do so much. Just really amazing stuff throughout this whole thing, right? From that point, we get introduced to what is it? We find out, is that where Mayert shows up? No, they have to go find him somewhere else, right?
Yeah, don't they pick him up from somewhere?
Yeah, they realize that the airport was just like a guise, right? Like that was
Right.
not. Yeah, it was like a setup by the radicals. So now they have to go and find Mayert, who is he's like recuperating somewhere. This poor old man.
Poor
we find
old
out
man.
a few scenes from now that he's 200 years old.
And he's a little otherworldly psychic.
He's not even a little horny
Buddy.
old man. He's just like a god.
He's just
But he's got this weird little monkey face.
he does.
And he's adorable and he's fun and like he's a cool dude. Like I love him. Hands down my favorite part in this whole movie. I'm not even
I mean, I
pretending.
feel like his character I've seen a lot in animes. Just like there's just like annoying, like horny old man. Like he reminds me of Master Roshi from Dragon Ball Z.
Exactly.
He reminds me of every weird horny old man. And like so I took a writing for television class, right? And the guy was saying, well, there are only like 7 types of stories total ever told. And he's like, there's maybe a total of 10 to 15 archetypes. And nobody else ever exists. And he's like, you got the ball busting old lady, you know what I mean? Like the ball busting spouse, that's an archetype that's always going to exist. You've got the weird sort of the goofball neighbor that's kind of changed slightly over time, but you have that same sort of oaf, like Homer Simpson, like
Yeah.
you know, whatever. And then you have the weird horny old man. Like those are the big 3 that I remember. And a horny old man, like it crosses all boundaries. Everybody knows that character.
Everybody has their own weird horny old man in their brain.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and everybody knows one. That's the other thing. You know what I mean? I won't call them out by name, but I could call up like five or 6 of them easily across like from my childhood to now.
Yeah,
that
I
could
know.
point out.
I know one too. He's hosting this podcast.
not, not that old yet, buddy. Not that old yet. We'll just wait. One of these days. I should be so lucky. But we get introduced to him. Long story short, he's recouping somewhere, right? And they have to go pick him up and take him to a much safer location to recoup some more. There's a little bit of back and forth with him and Mackie. He keeps trying to put the moves on her. Tacky don't like it. And then Mackie, whatever. They get to the hotel. That's the next big thing that I sort of remember is when they show up there. And it's supposed to be a safe space. The old man he's upset because...
Oh, and it's like a nice place too, right? Isn't it like this, like in the middle of the
Beautiful
hotel?
hotel.
It's like this almost grassy house. There's like in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's like an atrium, like
Yeah.
a big atrium-y sort of area. Yeah. But they put him into the room, and he's pissed off because Tacky is supposed to stay in there with him, and he's like, I don't want to sleep with some guy.
Doesn't he get like also like a fuck ton of porno mags?
And the way they're drawn is fucking hilarious when he's picking them up. It
And
kills me every time.
And he's just showing them off to him.
Well, don't you like the whatever? And
Don't you like the way
Whatever.
this one is? And he keeps just freaking out, and he's like, because he wants to go out and party. He wants to go out to the massage parlors, all of this stuff. He doesn't want to be stuck in that room. He's got his vigor back, right? He's ready to go.
Right.
And then Mackie ultimately says, fine, fuck it. I'll stay in the room with him if it's going to shut him up. And then Tacky's like, he tries anything. You knife him in the neck, and then you shoot him with one of these or whatever. He walks out to go have a cigarette and play chess. That feels like the most Japanese thing in the world to me. I don't know why.
Smoking a cigarette and playing chess.
I mean, I don't know, dude. When he pops out those squares, that's another shot that I'll just call out because I love it. I think it's very much like the step by step that you would see in film with somebody packing out a pack of squares. The way he like just kind of flicks it up and like three of them just rise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he just did that little flick and there they are, and then the pull, and then it's like he sits back and that hand comes in and lights it for him. The fact that he doesn't flinch, he doesn't whatever, he's fully at ease. We haven't seen this guy. Really, I mean, I think he was a concierge who let him in, but you don't really see him, and you're not expecting it. And then there's the big chess match, but it's when those smokes come out, man, and then that light right there.
Yeah.
I thought that was really chill. I thought that was really chill.
But it's like, yeah,
But,
I'm saying like little things like, yeah, like lighting cigarettes. I mean, what I love about especially these old 80s anime movies, like we talked about Akira too before, but like your brain, at least for me, like I get so used to watching it that like at a certain point, I don't even like think I'm watching something that's animated because it's so cinematic and so the
Yeah.
way things are moving, the way they're interacting with each other. Even when it gets weird, it still feels like I'm watching a movie.
In so many ways. In so many ways. But for me, it's those subtle, natural things like that really.
And that's
kinda
probably
bring
what
me
makes
back
it, you
into
know,
the
because
world.
they're like, we're gonna get weird. We know that with these action scenes, we can't get too crazy because that's gonna be a billion frames. So it's like the little details, I think, is what makes it, because that's when they can put more frames, more effort into doing those things that aren't gonna destroy their budget and makes it feel real.
Yeah, it's exceptional. It really is. It grounds you to your world.
Yeah, that's a
Here
good point.
there's
Grounds you.
another. Huh?
That's a good point. Yeah, it grounds you to the world.
It keeps you there. But inside here, after in the midst of this chess game, okay, and I got a little lost here, but that's also because Well, I had issues with my dogs today. I won't.
Well,
I
this is
won't
when
dip
the
into it.
demon man breaks in, right? Doesn't he break into the hotel?
Right.
Because they
He
showed the
breaks
clock
in-
Coming
earlier.
for Mackie.
He breaks in, but is he not? Is he the one who rips the arm off the concierge? Is that the same demon guy, or was that like a minion? Because Tacky gets into a fight downstairs while Mackie is getting molested upstairs.
Oh, maybe they were. I guess, yeah, I don't remember. I remember the dude breaking in because it starts off with like the clock that I remember seeing. And there's like
Right.
kind of like a lightning thing in the clock. And they go, that's kind of weird. And then later the clock, like kind of like, you see the lightning thing happen again. And the dude kind of comes through it or comes wherever. And then he just starts fucking everybody up. Like he's just killing everybody in that place, blowing up walls.
So, right. So, but Liz, that's the same dude, right?
It's
Same
all
guy.
Jen. Yeah.
It's all Jen. Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I thought. Because, and I did get a little lost there, because Tacky ends up like tunneled into a wall basically. Which, let's take 2 seconds to just say this. That MF got a gun that every time he uses it, blows him back into a wall and leaves a tacky-sized crater in a wall. Every time he pulls the trigger, it's like it blasts him backwards, and he's just, why even carry it?
Well, that's the
Why
only
even-
gun that works, right?
Well, yeah, it's dramatic.
Yeah, it's
it
dramatic.
is, but it's also that was the one thing I kept giggling every time that would happen, because it felt like every time he pulled the trigger, he ended up in a wall.
Well, yeah, it makes the gun more powerful because, like I said, that's the only gun they have that can kill demons.
That works.
Yeah.
It's the only one that does anything.
I just imagine the guy who gave him the gun. He's like, yeah, you're going to get thrown through a wall every time you shoot it, but, it works.
Oh,
So,
bro. I bet he undersold it. Well, yeah, it kicks a little bit. You know what I mean? It's got a little bit of a kick to it. And then he walks off and he's like, sucker. Like,
shoots
I
you for
bet
the
that's
first
what-
time. I was like, what the fuck? You told me there was a little kick to this.
This motherfucker's worse than a donkey, man. Got more kick on it than 10 mules in granddad's backyard. So during Jen's attack, like when we first see him, or when we see him and he's coming up on Mackie, I fucking love when he tosses his sunglasses on the ground and then they rest there, and then you see him in the lens as he's giving
Oh
that
my
little
God.
bit.
Yeah, like, what the fuck, man? Like, doing, like, reflections, like, to hand draw reflections is insane. That's, like,
Mhm.
insanity. Like, even today, with computers, that's, like, hard to do.
Yeah. I loved that. See, you're talking your shots earlier, like off the guns, whatever.
Yeah.
Like for me, that was a master stroke right there, right? Like that was a
Because
master
even, like, you look
stroke.
at, like, modern movies, like the Suicide Squad movie, they do that shot where you see the reflection off of Peacemaker's helmet when he's fighting. The whole shot had to be recreated digitally because they couldn't shoot it, not even in person. Like, they couldn't figure out how to do it in real life. And here are these guys fucking just hand drawing reflection off sunglasses. It's just, that's fucking crazy.
Unreal.
In 1987.
Yeah, that's insane. That's so, like, what? That's crazy.
And then it gets graphic. Like then this movie, boy howdy, let me tell you. This was a scene to me that was like, I don't know. I mean, you look at I guess sort of like sexual violence in culture and media and whatever. You know what I mean? It's never fun. It's not.
Do you think that it is a reflection of the Japanese culture, their opinion of what American culture is?
Dude, so
Because-
That's a good point.
That's a really tough question because
Because there's such a like in 1987, Japan was a very
Yeah.
mellow, you know,
I always
non-violent
looked at it
country.
as like a men in power kind of thing. You know,
well,
that's what I was kind of
it's
taking from it.
see, and I guess the way I was kind of coming into it is like th- this is sort of like it's a neo-futuristic sort of dark vibe, right? But as far as this goes in particular, I don't know if it's necessarily crossing over into the notion of like American versus Japanese. There's a part of me that feels so that this is maybe a little bit more steeped in Japanese culture because like if you look at where they are, this is when they're on the come up in like corporate sort of society,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Japan's really sort of taken over in that regard. So you do have these dude bosses that are
Yeah.
this is when
That's
you're
that's
hearing
it.
about
That's what I was trying to get at. Yeah, you know, these
corporate.
corporate do
I think it's
bosses
more
like
of a statement of corporation.
yeah.
But then you also have like this is when these dudes were you had mass attacks on trains, right? People feeling up kids on trains and all that stuff. This is like what I forget which Death Wish that was, but even that's like a thing that's sort of addressed there. I don't know how much it has to do with culture sort of war as more of statement on power in sort of like a corporatocracy, an unchecked yeah,
Yeah.
and that sort
Unchecked
of
Makes
power.
sense.
yeah. That's me. I could be wrong.
No, I
What do
mean
you
that's
think?
literally exactly what I got from it.
What about you, Liz? Where do you see it?
I've never really been able to pinpoint that, but it's always been something as a Japanese culture fan, that's always something in the back of my head. I'm like, are they mocking us? Are they, is it exploitation and they're just taking everything to the extreme because that's what they can't do that in their real life, so they're taking their artwork and their
Yeah, that's a good point.
media to the extreme?
Right.
Or is it, that a play on corporate culture because that is their culture? I just don't know, but it's just it's wild to me. I think that's a lot of because my brain works in extremes, so I think that's why Japanese media particularly appeals to me.
And then weirdly, it's like no genitals, no pubes. You can get to the,
Yeah,
you
no
can get to
pubes.
the, you can get to the top of the crease.
Yeah, not a single
But-
Yeah.
pube in this whole movie.
and no pubes. You can get to the top of the crease. No pubes, no
Which
dicks.
is interesting. 'Cause
Everything else
is it not like 80s American culture, all just giant bush?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, and this is very much a thing in Japanese culture. You can have all the boobs you want on TV. You can have at least you could for a while. They might be toning it down, but like as far as like sexual sort of standpoint, you could be naked. You could have whatever. The second you show a pube, you're fuck going to jail, kid.
Right, because they're the pornos that censor themselves, right? They have like the pixelated crotches.
Yep, because you cannot see a pube.
Yeah, you
Again.
can buy panties on the street corner out of a
Yeah.
vending machine. Used panties.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
I had a
It's
friend who
wild.
went to Japan as like a college thing. He did like a semester out there. I forget the reason, but yeah, he came back. He was like, yeah, not only do they have like beer vending machines and like panty vending machines that you can just buy shit.
It's insane.
Look, I'm gonna burst everybody's bubble. Low key, we here at Completely Cartoony, we do have another sponsor. It's
Oh
the guys
God.
who put the odor in the Japanese panties for the vending machines. I hate to tell you guys, listen, you think you're getting that all natural.
Wait, isn't that also Dan?
You,
It's just Big Dan is like a conveyor belt of panties, and he's just spraying it like spritz, spritz, spritz.
it's like the guy at the bowling alley with the fucking shoe spray,
Yeah.
but it's Dan in panties.
It's Dan.
Nope.
Turn it into
That's
like the Lucille Ball bit where the conveyor belt keeps getting faster and faster, and he has to keep he just has too many panties coming at him.
And then Dan's juggling. He's
Yeah.
juggling like 3 bottles of spray
Right,
and like
yeah.
40 pairs of panties. And it's like, oh my god. I'm so grateful that we have a sponsor who's not only a good dude, but who's got a good sense of humor. Because let me tell you something. Not everybody out there will give you barbecue sauce when you talk about them shuffling around panties. But Big Dan, my buddy, he will. Let me tell you. He's gonna come up to me afterwards and he's like, "Hey man, you know what? I heard that panty talk, and guess what? I got a brand new sauce for you."
I love it.
The dirty panty sauce.
My writer brain wants to. I've got to head in just a second to run back, and I want to sit at the hospital tonight and write some sort of Big Dan canon.
Oh my God,
I like my writer brain wants to do it now.
Liz, we're gonna make it happen. I'm just
Do it.
saying, you know what I mean? And again, do whatever you need to do. Hang out as long as you want. If you do get a chance to get back into the chat once you do get there, like hang out whatever you can.
Yeah, numbers
if-
went up as we talked about Big Dan and panties. I just
But I do want to say this real quick though, Liz. I do want to go ahead and just give you the floor. Like, if you are splitting soon, tell us what are the things you need to say about the remainder of this, because this is an exceptional watch.
So it is not for the faint of heart. It is not for a casual cartoon viewer. It's not. I mean, this is. There's a lot. There's a lot going on, and it's very violent. It is very sexually violent, and there's a lot of boobs. So that said, it's a beautiful film. It's a beautiful story, and it's one of, if not the anime that got me into watching heavier anime and got me heavier into Japanese culture. There's also an amazing score to this film, the shoji score, and it is available from Tiger Lab. A friend of mine does this anime vinyl press called Tiger Lab, and it is unbelievable remastered. So if you ever have a chance to check that out, it might even be streaming. It's the score to this film is beautiful as well, but it is one of my favorite anime films of all time. And again, I hate romance. I hate anything remotely cutesy and happily ever after. But I love shit like this. So.
And 2 seconds before you do split, I just want to say, while we haven't gotten there yet, to take a brief moment and talk about this ending. And James and I will get there here shortly. The flip that happens, right? The flip, like the twist that you find out.
If I can, I don't think I'll get back in time because of the traffic and all that, but I'd love to be in the chats to be able to talk about the ending, because the Gothic imagery in the church is unreal. Like when Brandon, I don't think about it, because I've seen it so many times. When Brandon was watching it with me on this rewatch, he was like, "Why do I feel like I'm in The Crow?" And I said, I've never even thought of it that way. But he was like, I feel like, right now STP should be playing or something, because the cross and the imagery and like the tentacles coming out of the crucifix and stuff, it's just unreal. So the ending to this, the story ending to this is quite beautiful in my opinion, and it has that kinda happy
No, it's
happily
an
ever after. You know, like something good came of all of this. There was a reason for the pairing, and something like it's kind of a
you
almost Jesus story.
you
Like there's a
find out why
savior.
you find out why they're partners, why they were
Right.
ever
Yeah.
put together in the first place, which again, the level of setup that this goes into and the payoff for what you've been dealing with this whole time is fucking excellent. Like it is chef's kiss status. It really is. And you're right, beautiful layout in the church, beautiful layout when you see Mayor there and the doors open up and it's just this little shadow in there, just itty bitty shadow, big old light. I love it. I love it. Little stuff like that. It ticks everything, like all the boxes, you know?
It does. I think it does too. Down to the boobies, but everything. It just encompasses everything that anime is
Yeah, for
to
sure.
me.
Definitely.
And should be.
Yeah.
And should be.
Did you
But,
do you have a rating you want to give it, Liz?
Um, can we go? I can't say it. See, I could talk about movies like this, but I can't
really
say
enjoy
it out loud. Thank you.
She says thank you.
I really enjoy.
That is
So-
definitely my rating.
Then
Kind of
then
appropriate.
Liz again, enjoy it. James and I will hold down this fort. If you get a chance to join us in the chat again, please do.
Will do, and
Yeah.
I will be back next Wednesday
Yeah.
for at 7:30 Central, and watch me on Dr. Gangrene Kneecat this weekend, Saturday. See y'all.
Saturday. Take care, Liz.
Bye, Liz.
All right, friends. So this is where this really does kind of get strange. So where we sort of left off is this guy Jen shows up, and he is a former lover of Mackie, and this is like really our first like gratuitous assault scene. He's basically laying it on her like, oh well, we used to be lovers and we are again, whether you like it or not. She's like,
he
nah,
also
I don't
says that she she betrayed him, that she picked the other side. Like,
Right. She picked humanity over
Yeah.
her own kind. Which again, there's this back and forth and it's that language that also feels like it's steeped in sort of culturalism and
Yeah,
maybe some
because-
deep-seated racism.
because that's what's interesting to me. 'Cause to talk about the racism part is that it's like it is Japan. Like, what racism do they really have in that sense? You know what I mean? Like, they have to be like talking about something else, or you know what I mean?
Dude, no. Like this is I don't. This is everybody this is going to make me sound like a terrible person. But every culture that exists has like some level of deep-seated racism.
That is true.
Has some level of deep-seated racism. And look, our co-host, my co-host,
Leo's in the
is
chat.
in the chat. And Leo, I did let the folks know. I did let them know that you've been out traveling the world. And unfortunately, you weren't able to make it tonight. But it is so nice to have you in the chat. If you do get a chance, go back, listen to the beginning, because, my friend, I could not do this show without you. I found these vagabonds and ne'er-do-wells from this other podcast, and I don't know, they chose to show up tonight, so we're letting them talk. But it's very nice to see you here, sir. But anyway, I do think there's like, because you hear about like African Americans and Koreans in Los Angeles and in big city
An interesting
atmospheres.
and side point, which I mean, it'll come around. But I went to this mystery movie the other day at AMC, or a couple weeks ago, and we thought we were gonna get Argyle or Mean Girls. We got neither of those movies, and we got a movie called Origins, which is literally about the origins of racism. And
Really?
yeah, then I don't know. At first we were like, "Fuck," I don't know, but then actually, in hindsight, after watching Argyle, that is like actually the better movie to watch. But the whole point of it, what they talk about a lot, is for what they connect our culture of racism and like segregation and slaves into Nazis and the Holocaust, and then into India with their caste system. And the whole, like, kind of like the thesis of the movie is, well, how are Germans and in India, like, is it really considered racism, or they're all like the same race, but yet they're still determining you are a lower class than we are. And
Right.
it was interesting and that's what I guess I'm getting into with this, is what they're talking about here.
Yeah, it's all about racing culture. I weirdly, I think everything is about racing culture, James. But Jen lays it on to this lady. You know what I'm saying? Like, he lays it into her pretty big, and aggressive, and he takes what he wants in that moment. He takes it, literally takes it. We cut downstairs, and that's when Tacky and the other guy, they're kind of waking up out of the stupor. We see that he's gotten his arm ripped off. Tacky goes upstairs, and when he goes upstairs, what does he find? He finds this Jen guy, like 3 fingers deep in his old lady. I know it sounds terrible, and in a weirdly traumatic moment, I mean, can I tell you, my brain went instantly to terra firma.
Really?
Yeah.
Which bit? Or
because she's taking the power back. Literally the ending of Terra Firma.
Yeah.
The life affirming. Scene.
Yeah. I know what scene you're talking about.
So it's like, in this moment, she sort of gives in, or you think she's giving into it. You think her body is weak, right? And just when this guy is like, oh yeah, that's that good stuff. I knew your body was still into me. You may not be, but this vagina is. And as he like climbs on top of her and he's saying more terrible shit, her hair whips around because she's still a demon. And then she chokes this motherfucker out, like strangles him with her hair, kills him in a corner as Tacky comes in, and he breaks out a blaster again, and everybody's getting blasted and everybody's naked. And they off that MF, right? Like they just kill him dead. He tweaks out in the corner and some lightning. We found out that Mayert has left the building. He was hiding in the toilet.
Yeah, where'd he go?
To the greatest place on earth. He found himself a weird, horny little massage parlor. And he banging out some big titty fucking masseuse woman. Bro, when she's talking about his old dick and how big it is.
And she was like, oh, you're not that old or whatever.
And he's like, honey, I'm 200 years old. Let me tell you. You don't even know. And
that also reminds me of, because his dialogue too earlier in the car, a couple scenes before this, when he's talking about banging one of the demon people, and he's like, oh, I bet that pussy's amazing. I heard like the men love to get their face ripped off because it tastes so sweet.
And okay, and so this is where, wow, I don't even know what I want to say right now. They reference it in Deadwood, but there used to be, in order to keep like white men working and away from Chinese brothels, particularly like on rail lines and in like gold towns or whatever. They reference it in Deadwood. They would tell the guys that Asian women's vaginas grew sideways.
Oh, damn.
Seriously.
Yeah, no, I believe
110%.
Yeah.
So that was a stereotype that would go around, but it was also to keep the guys working, right? We actually make reference to that in Shakespeare's Shitstorm.
We do. I do remember that from Lloyd Kaufman himself.
Yeah. And but anyway, like that's sort of what that stems from, is to keep dudes working. There's a part of me that feels like a lot of those statements that you hear in there are to point out the ridiculousness of stereotypes. So when he's talking about them as the other, I heard dudes love getting their face ripped off because pussy tastes so sweet, right? You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Oh, I heard, their the vaginas were so great because they're like sideways.
Ways.
There's going to be some weird old man that's like that. You know what I'm saying?
See, I thought it was
So-
that he knew that dude banged one of them earlier.
It could be. It easily could be. But he's been around for 200 years and he's never banged out a demon. I don't believe it.
No.
I don't believe it. So he gets to this massage
The
parlor
massage parlor.
and he's getting his. They figure out that he's gone from the hotel, but Tacky's onto him. He knows where this guy's going. He's gonna go and get some pink on his stink, or some stink on his pink, whatever. So he knows exactly where to find him. But when they do, what we realize is that the person that is with Mayor at this point in time, the massage therapist, which this is the sex scene I was saying earlier was squishy, is this one. This one's grossly squishy throughout it. It just the whole fucking time. It's just sloppy.
I want to meet that Foley artist.
Bro. I mean, I can't imagine a guy just like sitting there with like a sponge, just two fingers.
Well, he's
in
got
a
like
sponge.
he's got the mac and cheese. He's watching the movie and he's just like.
Oh, that's great.
Hey man, movie magic.
Movie magic, yeah. Guys, if you're listening to this and you didn't know that most of the sex that you hear is just a dude fingering a bowl of mac and cheese, I'm sorry.
Like bones breaking are just celery. Sex scenes are just mac and cheese.
It is what it is, guys. Sorry. We'll peel back the veil today. But she's one of these radicals, and she is absorbing Mayor at this point in time.
This is the first time we've seen a demon that does anything like this too, like absorbing that way.
When he's squeezing her titties, and then his hands just go whoosh.
Wait, doesn't he
and,
say something? Isn't he like, "Oh, nice titties," or he says something about her titties?
So the first time he's like, "And you have immaculate breast."
yeah.
He's like, "These breasts are." When he goes to suck one, and he's just like pops his fucking face on it, he pops his weird little monkey face onto her tit, and it's just like suck. And he pulls back, and he says like he got a taste of something. He's like, "Ooh, I got a weird taste of something in my mouth," and it was fucking like, it was like her. She goes, "Well, I can't produce milk because I'm not pregnant." And he's like, "I don't know." But then he goes back up for the squeeze. And it's when he goes to the squeeze, he's like, "What's going on with your titty?" And it's like his hand is sinking into her tit. At that point, too, I was like, the fuck movie are we really watching, guys?
So I felt the same way, like a little further into this scene when they finally come into the hotel room or the brothel, whatever the fuck room this is, and he's like halfway inside her, and then there's like both of them are like staring at, and she's like, "You can't get away, I got him now, or if you shoot me, he's gonna die." And then she fucking like takes her nails right up to her throat,
and she's holding her there, like just at the end of those fucking nails, while he yanks Mayer out of her. Pulls him out of this fucking quicksand of a woman, and then what happens anyway? Mackie fucking stabs her in the neck, bro.
Yeah, and then she just like deflates,
and just thunk. And this was another shot. You don't really see things pouring, but you see the big red stain behind her.
Yeah,
and then her body just kind of crumpled against the wall.
It's like melts and like deflates her body.
Ugh. It's so gross, dude. It's like really, really fucking gross. But anyway, from here, basically now we have to fix Mayer. They know one other place that they can go that's supposed to be even more protected. There's some other gobbledygook. We get introduced to a couple of more people in this. They take him to this place that hasn't been broken into in 500 years, right?
Which place was that again? I'm trying to remember.
It's the second safe spot that they go to. And they're like, it's impenetrable.
Well, they also said that about the hotel too. They were like, "This is a safe spot. No one could ever break into this." Someone breaks
Well-
in like immediately.
And then what happens here too? Like that's the thing. They put Mayer in that tank or whatever, so he can start rejuvenating. And then they're like, he'll be ready in a half an hour. And then it's right after that statement, dude comes into the room and he's like, "Sir, there's been a breach at the gate. They're coming in." And I was like, these people, it's the shittiest protection service.
There's got to be a mole somewhere. I mean, I guess they never talk about it, but there's got to be a fucking spy or a mole somewhere.
Somebody who is letting people in.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
Somebody who's
twice
letting
you're getting
people-
into two impenetrable, unless it's like that shitty. Like they're just that bad at their jobs.
Well, bro, but if they were that bad at their jobs, think about how bad the demons are for not being able to do it for 500 years. Not thinking about going to the front door.
It's like now some demon is just like, you could have just used the door.
Yeah, right. They sent a guy up on like a fucking recon mission, and he comes back 500 years later, and he's like, "Guys, the door's open. What took you so long, Johnny?" "I don't know, man. I was having fun up there. Have you seen their women? Holy shit!"
That reminds me of one time I was at a house party and I joined a line of people waiting to use the bathroom, and there's one dude just like walks past the whole line, opens the door, realizes it's empty, and just walks in.
You know what? That guy right there, there is a small country under his control right now. I promise you.
Yeah.
I promise you. Everybody else just content to wait. You know what I mean? Oh, there must be somebody in there. You know what I mean?
Well, I
First
always check
person-
the doors, but I figure when there's like 5 people waiting online, I was like, all right, I guess we're waiting here.
I promise you that first person probably just fucking knocked. It's a house party. Thought he heard somebody in there and just stood.
And I'm sure
I've
this-
done that before
Yeah.
too. And then waited 5 minutes
It's-
and then checked and been like, "I am an asshole."
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that.
So yeah, I'm
I've
sure
been
that's
there.
exactly what these demons did in these places. They were just waiting. They're like, oh, it's locked the whole time.
Oh, it's so protected here. Ooh. Oh, fuck. I could have used the front door. But when dude turns back around and he's like, you tell him X, Y, Z, boom, boom, boom. Don't wait for confirmation. All of that shit. So, like, they have protocol in place. Then Mayor does sort of snap back kind of quick. And he gets pissed because Tacky has to go kind of save Mackie. This is after Mackie has kind of saved their ass, because I do think after the brothel there was another fight before they get here. But again, I get a little spaced out in some of this. It kind of blends together for me.
Well, that's my problem with like anime movies in general. I mean, because just the way they're paced sometimes, I just kind of just get like zoned out a little bit.
And you know what? That's the thing. That's it's not that there's nothing interesting to look at on screen, because there always is. That's the one thing I will say, is there's always something interesting. But maybe it's lost in a little bit of translation for me. But I get a little confused sometimes as to like who is who and where exactly we are.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way.
In sort of the storytelling. But anyway, long and short of it is, these motherfuckers, they go to they now are separated from Mayer. He has to go save Mackie because Mackie died, or so they thought, or got captured, while saving both Mayer and Tacky at a certain point. This is where she gets absorbed. You know what, James? Look, as beautiful as it is, I think this becomes the problem with some of those backgrounds. When you lose those backgrounds, you lose where you are.
Yeah, that's true. That probably makes sense. Yeah.
Because this is the point where Mackie is absorbed by that weird beast that's like throat fucking her and then like sort of takes her away, right? That happened before this, and then Tacky has to go save her.
All right, because they are in the car, right? Because they're driving. Yeah, and then they like pull over because the Mayer dude is like hacking up like a little monster demon, and then that's the thing that takes over her body and fucks her.
It face fucks her and then takes her away. Yup.
Yeah.
Yup. And then they have to take Mayer to this place, and then
Right.
he's like, "Well, why are you leaving me? You can't leave me
Right, because he
here."
wants
And
to
he's
go
like,
save her.
Yep.
And then they're like, no, you can't do that. You got to protect me. And he's like, well, fuck
Him.
you. You know, I'm going to go save this chick because she tried to save your life. And she saved my life.
Exactly. There we go. I knew we would figure it out. We're smart guys.
Takes a second.
We're smart.
It takes a second.
But again, like that, I think that's maybe the one sort of kiss of death in this stuff where you need to watch it a couple of times. And this isn't a bad thing to like sit through a second watch just to make sure you really caught it, because of how exceptional it is.
And it's not that long.
But-
I think this movie's an hour, 20 minutes.
Hour 20, yeah. It's a cool hour 20 too. You know what I mean? Like that's beginning. What do you call it? Beginning crawl, and then ending crawl.
Yeah.
And it's still like right at 120, 122.
Yeah, so that's like a lot of story basically fitting into like an hour and 15 minutes.
Awesome. So anyway, he goes to save her. Then we're in like this weird sort of demony world where everybody is just terrible. Our Spider Woman sort of is well, we don't see her come back just yet. But there's the big bad who has fucked up elbow knives or whatever.
Right, so this is when he goes to save her, right? And then Maki's all like chained up, being
double
double-teamed.
teamed by demons. Yeah.
Getting that Eiffel Tower.
And again, dude, this is one of those points where I thought the camera work, the artistry.
I mean, technically it is camera work because they had to film this. Like they draw it and then film it.
Very true. When it's the Eiffel Tower situation, right? And you do see the one demon behind her and the one demon in front of her. There's that crazy shot that you just get like half the corner of her face while she's getting face fucked by a demon, but it's in between the two of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that sort of passing thing. I was like, I don't know if that made me feel more uncomfortable than it would to have just seen her getting railed by two demons.
Yeah, it makes it feel darker.
The way they designed it was...
Yeah, because if they just show you, then you're just watching any other porno.
Right. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But that was
art. It feels dark. Yeah, literally, it's art. Yeah, it just feels darker than the way you're like the light, because it's all dark too around them, right? It's not like it's just like some bright light. Like you're only seeing just her face and the demon.
And there's so much in this section of this movie that is like that. That is just like straight up dark with like one or two little highlights, one or two little areas that are kissed with light, so to speak.
Which I can imagine, you know, and like if you think about it, it sounds easier. You just put your cartoon in dark. There's less things you got to do. But in reality, that's like way harder. Because you have to, I mean, they have to light this shit, and lighting it, you know, they have to color it, and it's just like, how the fuck are we gonna light darkness?
Dude, that's the other thing, man. Like the choices made in dark, in total darkness, the things that you choose to highlight and where they show up on screen and how that applies to the rest of the movement is like so much thought goes into something like this.
And I can see how like this even influenced shit like Batman the Animated Series, which only came out like 3 years after this. So I can see how that was an influence.
100%, yeah. 100%. They'd seen Wicked City, the way that show works.
I mean, they never like I've never seen Bruce Timm like actually mention Wicked City, but they've talked about plenty of times that anime was like a huge. So I'm sure that this movie had to have been there.
This movie, I could see Akira being a good influence on Batman the Animated Series, but particularly this kind of gothic noir sort of story.
Yeah,
100%. So, and again, a confusing battle happens, but we find out the Spider Woman, got his come ultimately. She's upset that he
Yeah.
won because Mackie wins the day.
Yeah.
Or not Mackie, Tacky wins the day, saves Mackie,
It
takes
kills
her
all
back.
those demons there. Because there's that one chick, True, who like I actually love this shot too. It's like the guy with the elbow knives, his like right hand girl just starts like stripping naked, and she's like kind of hypnotizing him with the heart, whatever, and she's like turning him
With
on.
the heart earrings, yeah.
And at first it's all like sexy and like sensual, and then like her chest starts to like slowly open up, to like this like monster thing, and she's like, "Oh yeah, like come inside me." Like it's just like that shit is intense. I love it.
So
And then he just blows her up.
That was one of the most psychedelic things I'd
Yeah.
ever seen, dude. And it's like straight up bad trip status. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that felt like a very bad trip. But yeah, same dude. Loved it. Loved it. And it's like when you see those earrings spinning and then he has this sort of like snap out of it kind of situation. Meanwhile, his old lady is still getting railed by demons all around him. Like it's so much, James. So much.
Yeah, and he snaps out of it and blows her up.
Blows her up, blows up the other guy to a point to where after Mackie and Tacky, that's not the first time they have sex, or maybe it is.
Yeah, I don't think they've had sex before this. Because they were like just
And it
basically
is-
partners in the beginning of the movie.
No.
They were new partners in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. So, but this is where they first have sex because they do in this moment after the healing, right?
Yeah.
After they kind of heal up and before they leave to go and take care of Maynard again.
Yeah.
Because they still have to get there for that damn peace treaty.
Yeah, and I think this is when they get kidnapped by the spider lady somewhere between that.
Oh, in the car, when they get in the car, yeah. And they're driving down the road and they're trying to get back to him. And like she's just shooting fucking webcam all over him.
Now, this is a question too. I was thinking that maybe I missed something. So the spider lady is based off a lady who's been going to this bar all the time. And now we know that there's a real lady there because we see her hand. And the spider lady says in the beginning of the movie, "Oh, she's still passed out at the bar." So are these demons like copying people? Because at first I was like, "Oh, they're just taking over their bodies," and then I was like, "Now I guess they're copying them."
So that's where they play kind of loose and fast.
Yeah, because there's another
'Cause-
anime that I've watched that's pretty good too. It's called Parasite. It is more of a show than it is a movie, but it's kind of the same thing where it's like these alien parasites are kind of taking over people's bodies and turning them into these like killer, basically kind of the same looking creatures with like tentacles and knives and shit, and they're trying to like take over humanity that way. So I was getting a lot of those vibes.
They fucking what do you call it, man? I think it's a little bit different with the rules. I think different ones can do different things.
Yeah.
Because Jen was talking about look at what you did with the flesh of this world.
Yeah.
Right? Like look at what you were able to craft with the flesh of this world. So I don't know if they're like straight up copycats or if they can inhabit or if they can create based on. I have no idea.
Yeah, I guess they don't
what
really
the
explain it. I thought maybe
No.
I missed something.
No, bro. I don't know. I got confused.
Liz, where
I
are
actually
you?
Didn't put, I didn't put that much thought into what the demons could do, honestly. I was way too turned on to give not a shit. So from there, they get Mayor back. I also got a little confused after the Spider Woman attack.
Oh, yeah, we
Right.
haven't talked. Yeah, the fucking jizz webbing, which is also fucking awesome. I love when she's like, it's like the horniest Spider-Man I've ever seen, man. It's like she's like hanging upside down, and like the jizz is just coming straight out of her crotch, and she's like lowering down, like. But there's like the exact spider shot, where it's just like literally just like lowering down as like it's just coming out of her crotch.
When she I'm gonna grab a soda right quick, but when she is fucking coming down to tell her boss, I'm so sorry I let him get away or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that moment where she's coming down and you see that shot, yeah, 100%. But when they're in the car, and it's all that webbing across like the bridge or the tunnel they're in or whatever, and it's just like jizz everywhere.
Yeah, I
It's
thought
like
that point. I was like, "This man, did they just get jizzed on right now?" I'm like, "Oh, they are getting jizzed on right now."
it was fucking ropes across that car, buddy. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
I love when she has them like tied up, and she was like, "I'm gonna fucking cut you to pieces," and then just starts fucking like slashing the shit out of them.
oh, dude.
And you know what?
That
A part of the reason too why I love this movie is that the stakes constantly feel real. Like even the beginning of the movie when he's first fighting the two demons, like he would have died right there in the beginning of that movie if it wasn't for Maki coming in and saving him. And there's plenty of other points in this movie where our heroes literally are losing. If it wasn't for one thing, like the whole movie would be different. I like the constant stakes. I really because even that scene, it's like no hope at all. I mean, where are they gonna go? And they're getting just sliced up right there.
and it's another one of those quintessential like action movie, torture movie shots that
Yeah.
were given, right? He's hanging upside down, and where's the close up? The close up is not on his face. It's not on his face. It's on his hands. His lifeless
Right,
hands
the
as
blood
they hang
coming
upside down.
and more blood just starts going down on his hands.
I fucking love that
Yeah.
shit, dude. Like that shit right there is like you want to talk about a thing that raises stakes for me, bro. That raises stakes. That feels hopeless in
Yeah,
that moment.
exactly.
So good.
And then,
Then
yeah, the
take us, James. Take us away.
Then we get a surprise lightning bolt that just strikes
Right.
down the spider lady, and she was like, and I love the way because she's gorgeous, right, the entire time. But when she gets struck
Yep.
by that lightning bolt, it was like the succubus, like all her like she just got skinnier and like looked frail, like she looked like a demon really for the first time. You know what I
For
mean?
the first time, you really see the
Yeah.
entity for what it is.
Yeah, and
yeah.
she's just like, "Why
Oh.
are you betraying us all?"
And and that lightning bolt, from whence does that come? We don't really see it in that moment, right?
No, we just see it, but we get revealed a little bit. Like then the mayor comes down like after. Like I think she gets struck again, doesn't she?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we
Yeah.
get like the reveal of like, wait, we're not supposed to be here to protect you.
I'm here to protect you, you dummies. Right?
Which also doesn't make much sense to me, to be completely honest.
So, and that also feels to me like a weirdly sort of Eastern philosophy type thing, right? It feels like a kind of a bait and switchy,
Yeah.
like student master sort of situation. You know what I mean? He's 200 years old. I'm here to protect you guys. It's I don't know how much of it maybe is him.
Because if he was going to protect him, why did he go to that whorehouse to begin with and get sucked into the boobies?
Because he doesn't live his life like he's veal. You know what I mean? He gets out and he enjoys it.
He's like, yeah, I got to protect
Maybe-
these people, but I want to get off first.
But maybe it's also Eastern philosophy and the idea of he's showing them the notion that greater danger exists all the way around, more so than necessarily they think. There are no true safe places. These things have been getting out and about
Yeah.
beforehand. It could be those weird old man lessons where, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
okay, I see that. I see that.
Yeah. It could be that situation. I genuinely don't know. But it is kind of confusing. It's an interesting reveal. And I did think it was fun. I thought it was fun.
Now, the
I'll just
reveal
say
was
it.
cool. I think it did kind of made the plot have more sense. Like, yeah, it definitely was like, oh, shit, now the stakes do feel different and higher. Like, the characters they have greater purpose now.
Truly, and we're given that
Yeah.
purpose. We're finally really told what that purpose is. What the peace treaty is about is that they, this entire time, have been pegged as the two that have the potential to crossbreed, human and demon.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's why the lady, because also halfway through this movie, I'm like, wait, why did that demon want his jizz? Because we don't come back to it. So I was like, when is that ever going to come back? And then yeah, this whole mode, I was like, oh, that's why she was trying to.
There's one touch to it. When her boss is crumpled up before she leaves, the
Yeah.
Spider Woman, before she goes out to go and attack them with the cum, there is a reference to it. I guess you didn't.
I didn't
You
catch
may
it.
not have caught
Yeah.
it. She's like, I took the sample where you wanted me to, and your thoughts were correct. So
Ah.
this guy was thinking, so like it is a fucking like cough and you will miss it fucking line.
Yeah.
But it's a one-off thing where basically she alludes to the fact that this big bad knew that this guy was going to be the cum catcher. You know what I'm saying?
The cum giver.
Cum giver. She knew that was going to be the case.
The jizz
So-
joust.
Jizz Joust. What? Arguably a better name for this film. But we only get that reveal after Mackie and Tacky have spent the night in the church by themselves, wondering how they got there, who saved them, all of that. And that is when little man Mayert comes in and explains all this. Then, one last big fight. But what do we find out? From Mayert, before the big fight, he already can tell that Mackie is pregnant.
Damn.
Because
That was
she's turning
fast.
pink.
Fast, man. They had sex once?
Once. One good
It's
time.
like
Maybe
a prom.
twice.
It's a prom night date.
Maybe twice. Prom night date. Maybe it's twice. Because I can't remember if they boned right after he saves her. But they were both naked there. But she had just been getting railed by demons. So
Yeah.
maybe he was like, we'll give it a rest for a minute.
Yeah. I don't think you need another penetration here.
This is also where we learn something else too, James, or where something else is really put into perspective. This movie, one night.
Oh, that is interesting.
Do you
Yes.
ever think about that?
No, I didn't. I actually didn't think about it at all. And now you're saying it, and it makes sense. But I didn't think about it because also, a lot of times in anime, it can go on for years, and they still all look the same. So I never
Right.
think about that. But yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Because they're picking him up for the thing.
Yeah.
And maybe not if not one night. It's there's
mean,
that first
I don't
night.
remember seeing any sun. Like there was no days.
Well, there is right at the beginning. It's the
Okay.
very first night where he bangs out Spider-Woman. Then he goes to work the next day and he gets his assignment. And then that's where it really kicks off, right?
Yeah.
Is when he gets that assignment, it gets dark, and then this is that night, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Still
Yeah,
pregnant
yeah.
one night. Damn, those demons. They worked fast.
He says it at one point, too, in the final monologue. He's like, this is the longest night of my life. Not even shitting you. That's in there. Longest night of my life.
I kind of love it though.
But this last big fight is also crazy. She splits that guy down the center with her pink laser knife nails.
Yeah.
And he just peels in two, dude.
Oh, this is the guy with the shadow too, right?
Yeah. Like this shit, this gets so heavy. This battle is so good.
The shadow is so cool, man. He sucks like the mayor dude in there, and then he sends his tentacles. He's like, go eat his flesh or whatever, and the tentacles are just going inside it and just like grabbing him all inside the dark shadow. And then what's his face? The Taki gets stuck in the dark shadows too, and he's trying to he blows off one arm and he can't get the other gun in there because he's just getting sucked into the shadow.
Yup. There's a lot, like I guess in these big fucking fights, man. There's so much. There's so much. But we find out that ultimately Mackie is pregnant, and that she saves the day with the power of pregnancy.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was
power of pregnancy and love,
right. A mother's love.
which is also a very
mother's
kind of
love.
anime thing to do. It's always like power of
Dude,
friendship, power of love. Yeah.
it very much is. It very much boils down to like these sort of, I guess, very humanizing kind of emotions, right? The things that ultimately make us human. We had found out though that Tacky and Mackie had gotten kicked out of the Black Guard for abandoning their post with Mayert. Very unfair. Very unfair. But then Mayert says, "Oh, I'll put in a good word for you. It's fine. I'll show up. But we got to get you guys there to sign the papers." Which also makes more sense than one old man signing the papers.
Yeah.
This is where shit started clicking for me. Was like, oh, of course they got to sign papers. It's not just a peace treaty. It's a fucking like wedding document.
Yeah.
You know what
And
I'm
that
saying?
is the
Like,
peace
this
treaty.
is-
There's like if they get married, then there's the peace. It's like almost like when two kings like to unite their kids. It's like here's our peace between our kingdoms.
It's feudal lord shit. We'll blend the fortunes. We'll marry the fortunes. The offspring will be what brings our countries together.
Yeah.
Right? And the fact that she's already pregnant as they're sort of heading into that, and then we learn more in that sort of big final that big final monologue. He gets his job back. His sole purpose in life is now making sure that she is fine, he is fine. He said that Mackie was more what is it? A power that he never knew, that none of them ever knew could exist, is what she possessed now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And they never explain what makes the dude's jizz so powerful, right?
They don't really, but the only thing they say is that basically it's like a 1 in a million type chance that she could breed with, I forget what it is. They do reference it. Something that
Is he
makes
just that peak masculinity that he, he has that just the top genes?
more humanity than masculinity. It's almost like toxic humanity to a point. But there is a reference to like the thing that makes you so human, right? Like it's almost like it's a dirty word, but yeah, you could say it's,
I guess that makes sense because that's when the mayor's like, fuck her, don't go save her. Then him doing that does solidify, like, all right, this is our guy.
Yeah, it has to be. This is our guy. She saved you. But it's all about that sort of, I guess, instead of hyper masculinity, hyper humanity at that point. That was a little confusing, and I forgot exactly how they worded it. So if anybody out there wants to let us know, don't reach out to Completely Cartoony. I don't answer my emails. You can let them know at totally.tunular@gmail.com. Next week, they'll be able to tell you about my show because I've got them working for me.
Yeah, I
So
know.
if
Even
you
though
know
this
what
is
that
completely
answer is-
cartoony, I still have the totally.tunular email right there on the YouTube.
Yeah, it was money well spent. You're welcome. But no, dude. So I think we've kind of rounded it
Yeah.
out. Like I think we've really sort of told this story. I'll go ahead and start because that's how I do it on this show, whether you know it or not.
Okay.
I always go first. I like to give my guests the last word. I would throw this up there as a resounding success.
Success.
I did get a little lost at a few points, but in where I got confused, I blame me, and I also blame a what do you call
The
that?
dogs?
Like a huh?
Said the dogs.
No, these puppies, they've been so quiet tonight.
They have been good tonight. They have been good puppies tonight. Tell that to them for me.
I blame myself in like some things getting maybe lost in translation. Is where I would say those are the only things that lead to confusion. Visually, beautiful film. Yeah, a success for me. James, how do you feel overall?
Success.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I'm giving this.
Success.
Yeah, this film's great, and like I said, I haven't seen. That's probably why I haven't watched a lot of. I haven't seen this movie before, but it's only been like kind of like a recent thing where I really love these like 80s, these like late 80s or mid 80s to late 80s animes, because there's a certain aesthetic and style to them that just looks so fucking cool and it's so grounded. Like, like cartoons, especially at this time, the American cartoons are still kind of just like Hanna-Barbera or like Saturday morning cartoons, and here's anime being like, fuck you, we're literally making cinema, like in a way that's never been done before, not even Disney, you know what I mean? And like, and the way the characters look is just and I said I see a single frame of this, I'm like, these fuckers had to draw like hours, just painstakingly hours. I'm sure these animators did not get paid nearly as much as they deserve to, and it's
no, they didn't.
Yeah.
Not in the slightest. This is probably a child did it.
But you know what, the work pays off, because it said it is just fucking breathtaking to look at, and it's dark, it's brutal. Yeah, it has kind of all of it, man. Like, of course I'm giving it a success. And it's Valentine's Day, so there's a little love in there, A
little bit of love. Put a little love in your heart,
Yeah.
James. You know what I mean? Yeah, Liz, thank you for the reminder that this was out there. Like I said, I hadn't seen this in probably like 20 some odd years. But the intro stuck with me for forever. The second I saw it, when I kicked it on Tubi, I was like, I know this movie.
And this is the second most horny thing that we've watched. It's not the level of chirpy yet, which I don't know. I don't think anything will be, but it's close.
And that was only a 12-minute short.
Yeah.
But it's close. I mean, this is close. We can get there, but that was a 12-minute short.
No fault to Brennan, but this beats our Fire and Ice horniness. Then we watched that one.
I mean, okay, I'll tell you what. This was a hornier movie in a worse way. Fire and Ice was a sexier movie. Well, oh God, that's hard to place,
Right.
bro. Like, it was sexier because it was more fun and less rapey.
Yeah.
But it was still a little rapey.
Yeah.
This one was just like hardcore, like whatever. So yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and at
you're right.
least in that Fire and Ice, there was like there's a real person they had to film and draw over. So that lady's crawling through that that tube with her ass in the frame.
Yeah,
there's
that
real
exists.
footage out there of that.
You know that exists
Yeah.
in this world. All right, bud. So with that, James, I know you have your own show here. Here's a little chance for you to plug it. What are you doing on your next episode of Totally.Tunular?
Wow, thanks for letting me plug my show here, Ben. Yeah, next week I'm actually stealing your other co-host. Leo is going to be coming on Totally Tunular.
Beautiful. Am I invited as well? I thought we were doing like a,
Yeah, I mean, dude,
podcast sort of crossover.
Are you a He-Man fan?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, very much so.
Do you like Kevin Smith movies?
I like Kevin Smith movies, yes.
So, like, did you know that he made like a He-Man show recently?
You know, look, when I first got sort of hip to the cartoon podcasting game, I did listen to a couple of episodes that you guys had done there on Totally Tunular.
That's right, because everyone knows how I guessed it right. How we got Better Lynn in the two-parters of Masters of the Universe. But yeah, because
you were the one that called it. The first place I heard it, right?
Yeah.
The very first place I heard it. So yes, I have heard your show. I have heard those. I am a fan.
So yes, I guess we're talking. I don't know how else to describe it, because it's not a season 3, but technically it is. But it's more of, I guess, a sequel show, because it's Masters of the Universe Revolutions, and
Right.
I haven't watched any of it yet. I know we were literally the only people apparently who liked it, but I guess other people liked it because they got a new sequel show. So, but I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to have Leo back on. You know, I hope we get some She-Ra because they were kind of hinting at it. I know we got the Horde, right? That was the big thing.
The Horde is there. I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you something, bro. You're gonna be mad at me.
Yeah.
I already watched it,
Oh, damn. I haven't watched a single bit of it yet on purpose.
bro. I watched it. I know we were talking about it. I fucking had already started the episode when we were in that chain. Watched it all. Am gonna watch it again, and no spoilers. As to
It's only
anything
5
you've got to
episodes.
say.
I know it's another part 1, so it's only 5
Yeah.
episodes. So, and there's
I'm
Liz
just-
in the chat. So there you go, Liz. He-Man, Master of the Universe Revolutions, Liz,
Next week.
next week.
I'm gonna tell you this, bro. I think it's okay. It's okay.
Oh, damn. Because I do love that first season. I know everyone fucking hated it, but
No, bro, no. I don't want to tell you too much about it, but
All right.
I'm just gonna say it's gonna be fun next week.
all right, let's do it. Plus, I love seeing Leo. I haven't seen him in a minute. All right.
Yeah.
Peace out, people. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, friends, and always get to us at totally.tunular@gmail.com.
Yeah, send them emails. Tell us how much you hate Masters of the Universe and Kevin Smith. All right. Goodbye.
You guys, this is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman. Kyle's mom is the one that started that damn club, and all because she's a